Hello, and just a quick video tonight, and I just wanted to have a look at some track cleaning processes. Normally I use a Peco rubber. I've decided to buy a brand new one just to see if there is a difference in the new and the old. I've got some Gaugemaster, these are Axel hung track cleaning, and obviously it's great for getting under areas where you can't access that well. I can take this side off and access the track from there, but I still have some where it's still quite difficult to do, so I thought I'd try these. Let's just give you the price of the Peco one first. This is the PL41. I'm just reading it off a piece of paper here. So this is a rail cleaner, and it's £7.49 I paid for that one. It's quite expensive, and these are the GM39, and this is the Gaugemaster Track Cleaning Pads Axel hung, and these were £6.50, and you get 3 of those, but obviously you need some fluid to go with them. And I've also got this Gaugemaster, and this is the GM26, and it's the small track rubber, and this is quite a soft one, so I expect that to break into pieces as I'm cleaning the track. I've never used this one before, and I was just wondering how that compares to the Peco one, because they're supposed to be very similar, you know, do exactly the same job, but being softer might not scratch the track, you know, and the more scratches on your track, the more the dirt will sit in there, and obviously if you weather your track like I do, then the surface of the track is really needed to be well cleaned, because you will get no conductivity if you've got any paints right on the sort of just on the insides and things like that. So I try and keep it as clean as possible. So let's go down, you know, get these open and start having a quick look. Right, I think we'll open the Peco one first. I needed my knife. There we go. Well, he seems to fight back. Oh, there we go. That is a solid block. Obviously I've used these plenty of times in the past, but how do they scratch your tracks, and how do they clean it, and how well do they clean it? And you've got to be a little bit careful, especially over points. It's easy to knock a point blade off. That's cleaned that track up really well. So we'll have a closer look at the on a test piece of track as well, but let's have a look at this the Gaugemaster one. So and I've never used this one before. This is a very soft, you can actually feel it crumble away. So but that shines the track up just as well, but I can see where bits have already come off this, so you've got to make ultra careful that you've vacuumed your track up before you use anything, before you run anything I should say. But yeah, I mean, that works just as well. That seems smoother on the track. So I'll do the inside one with that, and then we can have a close look at those and see how well it's cleaned it. So let's have a look at the Peco Track first. I haven't cleaned any of this up yet with a vacuum cleaner. So, and the Peco Track looks pretty clean there, and it's not really losing any pieces, and feels nice and smooth. And it seems to have done quite a good job of that. And the Gaugemaster one, and I can already see that we've got a lot of dirt and debris from the track rubber there, so as the track rubber's going over it, definitely breaking up. And I can see, if I just rub my finger over there, you can see how much it's come back off the sleepers. So really crucial to vacuum your track. So I'm going to give this a little bit of a vacuum now. So and then I'm just going to have a look at a piece of test track and just see how much it does scratch as well. And one thing I want to do is just make sure I get all these bits of track rubber off the so give that a really good vacuum up. And just got a little bit of paper just to see how much actually does come off. So I'm going to clean half this with the Peco one. Just put that one to one side. So give it a really good and that's cleaned that up nice. And how much do we get? Virtually nothing there. So let me just zoom in on that piece of paper and you can just see what came off from that. Just a light rub over really. So you can see there's just a few little bits that's sort of scattered around, but it maintains all its shape, which is pretty good, and seems to clean the track up quite nice. So there's not too much come off there. So that's I've always used these, and they've always provided a good. Right, that was the Peco one. Let's just try this Gaugemaster. I'm going to just flip the track around. And just do the other half. As you can see, there's bits all over the place now. And it does come off on the rubber there. And you can see that there is a lot of debris left over from that one. Probably don't need to zoom in, but I will do. So you can see the importance of vacuuming your track up. So just generates a lot. And looking down the track, this feels absolutely no difference to the surface of but I'm going to have a really good close look at both the ends and see which ones get scratched the most as well. But this one generates an awful lot of debris compared. Right, this was the Peco end. Now that looks pretty good. No major scratches. And this was the Gaugemaster end. So, okay, there we got to the end of the track, and I would say just as good. You can see some pitting on the track, but it wasn't a brand new piece. Well, I'd never cleaned it before, but wasn't a totally brand new piece. It was just one of my offcuts. So yeah, I think the Peco has done a better job and produces less mess. And then we have these, and these are the Gaugemaster track cleaning pads, which are Axel hung. So you'll need a wagon and something to move it around the track. So, get into this. So you get 3 of these. Obviously you'd need to buy more. I'm doing a lot of cleaning, so, and it shows you sort of a quick visual on how to connect it. I don't know, I've never actually used these before, so, and it's a quick piece of text and showing you how it clips onto the axle there. So I've got a wagon, oops, and I'm just going to see if I can get this one to fit onto there. And I've got my wagon out, and I'm just trying to just see how it actually goes, and looks like we need to sort of clip it. Goes underneath. I think I need a bigger wagon with a wider wheelbase actually. It doesn't quite fit inside. So let me go and get another wagon with a slightly longer wheelbase. Hopefully that will then sit underneath and clean the track. I'll just pop that one back out. Hi, I've hit a little bit of a problem. I tried to get some a wagon with a longer wheelbase. Obviously I've got quite a few different wagons, so I tried a Minitrix one, quite an old one, and that was just, the axle's just too wide, it won't even rotate once you've put the cleaning pad on, and there's just still not enough room due to the brake detail on the wagon. A Peco one, it fits on nice, but it won't fit in between the wheels, and because of the brake rigging it won't sit down any lower. I tried a Graham Farish fan, and that it won't even go on because the way the axles actually sit on there. I've got another Peco, quite a long bolster wagon there, and that fits in nice, but it won't sit flush. Because you've got some of the detail in brake rigging, or sort of whatever sort of the detail of that is, the brake levers and things like that. But so I'm not 100% sure. I think I could possibly cut a couple of pieces off this side of this and then get that to sit in there like that. If that was slightly longer, it would just sit in between this one quite nicely. So maybe if I'd cut a couple of corners off the cleaning pad. So I'm going to do that and just see if I can get this actually to sit into this wagon. Right, so if I just chop off I need to find that, it's just gone flying around the room. And let's see if that works. Right, that actually sits nice on the wagon there. Now, will it touch the track? Let's just bring this track in, and let me just have a look, see if we can see. Is that touching the track there? Seems to be. Right, so I think that wagon with a modified cleaning pad, I'm going to run this around the layout. I'm going to put a bit of IPA on there. You can use track cleaning fluid or IPA. It says it needs to make light contact, and that should make light contact now. So I think that's the only wagon I've got that's going to do this job. So if you're going to buy these, you're going to be limited to what wagons you do use. So I'm going to get a loco and take this around the track a couple of laps, and then just see what dirt comes off. Right, I've got a Class 47 hooked up to the bolster wagon there, and let's just give this a few circuits. Now we'll get it going forwards first. Let's give this a few laps around. So bring it to a halt there. Let's just have a look at this pad. Can't really see a lot on there, it's still a little bit wet from the IPA. So that it's fairly clean anyway, my track, so I might just try it on the inside track as well and just see where we go from there. But that will get into the hard to reach areas, and also if you're trying to clean where your station is. I mean, I have done this and I've sort of damaged the card that goes along the edge a couple of times with the track rubber, and I've done a couple of repairs on that since then. So using this sort of system, it might actually work better. I think you need to use both, but you've got to be very gentle with the rubber. I thought I'd just put a brand new one with no IPA on there, and just give this a couple of laps round. I think I might have derailed there, and so you can see it's not picked up any real dirt off there, so the first one with the IPA would have cleaned it. So yeah, seems to work okay and probably will last quite a while. Okay, so a quick roundup, and which ones would I recommend? Well, these seem to be okay, and I think they would clean the track quite nicely. obviously as good as any of those track cleaning cars. It's exactly the same process. It's just a pad that goes around with some track cleaning fluid on it, and that'll just clean your track up, and you'll see that it does pull some dirt off the track even if it's dry, you know. So but I think trying to find a loco that will fit on is pretty difficult. You may need to modify the track cleaning pad like I did, where I just had to chop some of the corners off. And once you've got a wagon, obviously that's you know always which one it's going to go, and it does run a lot smoother and freer once I've taken that off. So I would also run it around with a reasonably strong locomotive. Now the Gaugemaster one, this is how much just it generated. I've not thrown any of that away or created any more. I just sort of piled it up, and that I think is just so messy. I don't think I'd bother, you know. If I was looking at one of these again, I definitely wouldn't purchase these Gaugemaster ones. They're probably very soft on your track because it does fall apart, but the amount of debris that it creates, so you've just got to make sure you really clean your track, vacuum up before that. So, and I would say my favourite has always been the Peco Rubber, but this does leave pieces behind, and I've tried to get all those into but yeah, so you can see some of those there. Look, I'm not sure if that's coming in on camera, but that was just a small clean of there. But these rubbers last so long. I mean, this was £7.50, quite expensive. I probably could have got it cheaper, you know, saved another £1, but over a period of time, I mean, I've had some of these for several years, and I thought I'd just buy a brand new one just to make sure I was doing sort of a good comparison between the Gaugemaster and the Peco one. And I would definitely say the Peco one is my favourite out of all of these methods, but because I've got limited access, I definitely will be using this as well to run round. And now I've modified the track cleaning pads, I know exactly what to do and what locomotive to run on it. I can easily run this around the track and it'll just clean a little bit up. So you can see a little bit there, it's just come off this track and that was dry. I was pressing a little bit firmer, you know, so it may not press as hard as that when it's going round on its own, and may derail. So just be aware that I wouldn't run a full locomotive. But anyway, my recommendation is Peco, and second best is the wheel hung Gaugemaster ones, and I just don't think I could recommend the Gaugemaster Track Rubber. I think that's awful. Cleans the track alright, but it's just mess. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it quite useful. I've found it useful, and I know which one I'm going to be sticking with. I'm always going to be sticking with the Peco. So I wish you a very good rest of the day or a very good evening, and hopefully see you on the next video. So take care.